Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Today I want to give you a quick update for the month of October and what to watch out for, what to, be a bit more careful, because we have very intense energies right now, and by intense I mean that it's important to be a bit more careful with how we are interacting with others. It's a very emotional time and it's very easy to get into conflict with others. October will featuring significant astrological events. Many energy shifts are happening. On October 2nd, we'll have the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Libra. It's a video I've already created yesterday. And this eclipse focuses on relationships, balance, and a lot of emotional release. It's already happening right now, and therefore you may feel a bit more tired. Maybe you feel a bit more exhausted or irritated. Know that it's not a bad thing. I know so many people are seeing this as something bad, but see it as a time for doing art. Do something that helps you to use your sensitivity in a constructive way. Like, I've been painting a lot these days, and it just feels like nature always calls you to do something with what you feel. And maybe you feel like you want to do something like that as well. It's maybe not the best time to go into some triggering conversations with someone who also feels quite triggered at this time. It's maybe a better time to go into introspection and recognize where you stand and what you need to find out or find clarity around. So there's also Mars squaring the eclipse, and usually people during that time experience heightened emotions. They feel like a bit more or quite more sensitive. Mars represents action and tension. Tension usually because for action there must be pressure. And before we take action, usually there must be a certain amount of pressure that tells us, hey, it's time to move on. It's time to make something. It's time to do something here. And that's why there is so much pressure right now, because it's time for change. It's time for innovation. It's time for a new direction. It's time to do things differently. And sometimes it leads to frustration because we naturally want to figure everything out immediately. But therefore we need to be patient with ourselves, because sometimes things just take time. And we can't be impulsive all the time. We can't be impulsive. And the challenge with these energies is that it's kind of like we would like to be impulsive, but at the same time, if we are impulsive, we do more harm than good. So what are the dangers, or a bit like things we need to be more careful with, is that we don't take impulsive action based on emotions. When you feel like you want to take action with something, just maybe do it a bit slower. If it's a conversation, you get into a fight with someone, maybe before you say something, take a deep breath. Just be a bit slower. And well, even if you got into a fight, reflect on it. What was your part? Could you do things differently tomorrow, maybe? Just a quick reflection, because it's like, these energies are like a workout. You put some weights on, so the workout gets harder. And then when you take these weights off, you recognize that you are stronger. Sometimes we are too soft on ourselves when it comes to a personal progress in our lives. And then we have these energies that speed up the process of healing and revelation. And yeah, it's quite intense. It's quite intense. So another difficulty during this time is that you may not feel so grounded, because it's an intense time. And I want you to have strong routines right now. In the whole month of October, it's like what you've established in September, grounded in October, because September is often a month where we renew ourselves, like we renew our routines, renew our habits, we start some new workout routines, we start doing things a bit differently, and then in October we need to ground it to really make it strong. Like, it's funny that for me, almost every single year in September I start these frequent gym workout sessions. Before September, usually I spend more time outside, I'm traveling a lot or whatever I'm doing, but in September, usually I start these gym workout sessions again, and this year was the same. And now as tomorrow we are entering into the month of October, now I'm already all in. I'm just ready to ground everything, and when you have something well grounded, it helps us to channel these intense energies. And this is something that will help you so much to go through the month and to stay stable. Even though here and there you may lose it, just have certain routines that will help you to keep things stable. Okay? Then the second thing I want to talk to you about is something related to the planet Pluto, as its energy will be quite potent, especially during eclipse. So at the beginning of the month of October, we'll have this transformative energy that is uncovering usually hidden truths, but it's also affecting us more psychologically, which means that you may come across let's say, certain limiting beliefs about yourself, certain false stories of your self-image, certain sensations of unworthiness, only so you could investigate it. But usually it takes some, energy, and it makes us feel more vulnerable. So sometimes it makes us feel like we're going through a dark phase, or we may feel like there's something wrong with us because we're feeling more vulnerable and more tired, more exhausted. But I just want to let you know it's a transformative energy that is deeply present right now, moving through all of us, and it's encouraging us the process of transformation. Whatever you're going through, know it's meant to happen. It can bring a lot of unresolved emotional traumas to the surface as well, and it may kind of force you to confront certain dark or hidden aspects of yourself. But take a lot of time to really be with yourself, or to talk with someone, maybe with older people if you can, or with someone who can understand you and who can listen to you without giving you some advice, just listen to you. And you will notice that it's quite natural, like you may still not have much clarity around what you're going through, but eventually you will recognize it's just purification, it's just cleansing. Like many times when we're going through a certain period in our life where things are not very clear, I found out in my life I just need to be patient with myself, because eventually things clarify and certain results unfold, and certain things happen that reminds me why I needed to go through something. But before we reach them, we feel overwhelmed, and we feel like there's an intense inner change that's happening that make us feel more emotional, that make us feel more vulnerable. So if it's happening to you, just make sure that, as I said before, you have some strong routines. Also, sleep is very important during this time, so make sure that you're sleeping maybe even a bit more than you think you need to just recharge your body. It may take a lot for your body to ground everything. Maybe one thing to avoid is to avoid not doing anything about it. So I know sometimes we want to skip a meditation, or we want to skip a deep conversation, or we want to skip some reflection, but this is the time to really not avoid it, to really use these energies to dive deeper into what you're feeling, dive deeper into what's happening, and don't just try to figure it out, but just reconnect with that vision of the future of yours, to recognize what's the future you that's on the other side of what you feel. So you kind of touch that new frequency of yours to get a sense of it. I know I'm often reminding you of that only because that's how important it is. And then also another challenging thing that may be because of these energies is that you may easily be triggered by certain external events or people. So yeah, it's maybe time to have some distance, or to spend more time in nature, or have a talk with your mentor or therapy, or whatever works for you. It's something that is supported. But I would say for me, nature is my greatest therapist, and workouts as well. And yeah, of course, doing art. That's how I get reconnected with myself. And during these times, I just know everything is how it needs to be, and it helps a lot. Then the third part to this message is that you may experience a lot of energetic imbalance in relationships. It's not just you that is maybe going through something, it's many other people. Well, firstly, as we have this new moon solar eclipse in sign of Libra, which obviously represents balance, relationships, and harmony. Eclipses are natural, it's a nature's time for recalibration. In many ancient traditions, they looked at it as a natural reset that helps us to reconnect with nature's rhythm. So you can look at it as a time of reflection where you've maybe taken off the rhythm of nature. Now that nature speaks to you through your inner impulse. Some people call it intuition, or inner truth, or heart, or gut. There's a rhythm. Like nature is breathing through you. Life is breathing through you. And that breath of life is taking you to the direction that gives you the most life. It's the direction that fulfills you. It's things you do that fulfill you, and things you do that brings life to others as you're doing it. Something that brings a sense of purpose to you, a sense of meaning, a sense of drive and passion. And as you disconnect from it, energies like this right now and during the month of October is an energy that helps you to reconnect back with it. So it may happen that you will naturally just sit down and question your life's meaning, or question your life's purpose, or question, is what you're doing still important to you? And it's same, related to our relationships. We may question how much we have in common with people around us. Do we have any challenges with codependency or certain relationship dynamics? Are we happy with people around us? Do we feel drained by spending time with certain people? Do we feel like a certain path has maybe finished with a certain person? Or do we feel like we need to reevaluate certain things, principles, or just values with, certain people in our lives? Just to recognize, are we still, doing this together? That's something we may be questioning, so we can prioritize, of course, personal boundaries, and also clear communication. So we can find more common ground and pace in our daily experiences. Then the fourth part of this message is very, very important, because so many of you may feel like there would be energetic fatigue or even burnout that you may be experiencing. It's quite common for this energies, because just for existing it already feels intense, but then we need to do daily things and priorities and certain responsibilities, so it's a lot. And if you're more sensitive, you may just feel more energetically depleted. Know that it's okay, it's part of this time. There's nothing wrong with you. You're going through intense purification and transformation. So the combined influence of Mars, Pluto, and eclipse can trigger periods of fatigue, especially if you're resisting to certain necessary changes or maybe feeling stuck. So if this is happening to you, just notice where you could let go. Where could you just release the tension? There are parts of you that are transforming, but there are parts of you that are just holding on to something that is outdated. And it's really your inner job to recognize where could you just release, just let go, because something new is maybe beginning for you. And I want you to pay attention to you right now. Just pay attention to you right now. Maybe take care of some self-care, like go on a massage, go into sauna therapy session, or do something that gives you a sense, as I mentioned, that the previous time of the full moon is that's when this new energy started coming in. I mentioned to you to take time for some beauty. It's like something that helps you to, or reconnects you with your inner beauty, something that reconnects you with your soul, with your bliss, and remind you that you're going through a transformation, but it doesn't need to be painful all the time. It doesn't need to be challenging all the time. You can still take time and have this wonderful retreat or whatever. So maybe signs that you needed are physical exhaustion, or feeling overwhelmed, or kinda energetically burnout. That's when you need some of this kind of self-care. And if that's you, well, just, take a moment in a day and be there for yourself. Maybe in nature, maybe a massage, maybe a sauna, or whatever you love, whatever works for you the best. Just, take time for some self-care. And the last thing I want to mention is stop resisting the change. Stop resisting to change. October is a month of incredible transformation, especially because of the Pluto. It's moving into a sign of Aquarius, and it just means that, well, whatever you've been faking, whatever you've been not authentic or real about, will eventually fall off. The mask will fall off. And what you're figuring out is that there's something greater beneath that mask, and your job is to embrace it. And there's something you've built in your life with that mask on, and most probably that thing will be shattered a little bit. But then, as you are becoming more authentic, whatever you're creating and building will become more stable because of this. And as you're figuring this out, you will notice that every time you do it authentically, you feel much better about it. You feel stronger, you feel more encouraged because of this. But of course, usually it starts with suffering, because we feel attached to something that may be falling apart. It's because we are holding on to something from the past. What this time is encouraging you is to really see that you are okay, that you are good enough, and maybe that your time to shine has come. So what I would encourage you is to notice that fear of the unknown doesn't need to bother you anymore. You don't need to be afraid of the unknown anymore. You need to understand that we see less than 1% of light. We see less than 1% of reality. Less than 1%. It's almost nothing. So basically, we see almost nothing of what's real. And everything else, it's unknown. In that unknown, there's infinite possible ways something can work out. And what's my job every single day, firstly for me, is to tap into this unknown and find an outcome that would fulfill me the most, and see it and feel it, connect with it, be intentional about it in my morning meditation, to draw it into my reality, to look at it as a experiment with destiny. Like, we know so little about life. Why we would fear the unknown? It's often just stealing your growth. And at this point, stop resisting to change. And you can let go of the fear of the unknown. So practice letting go, both energetically and physically. Trust that the universe is truly guiding you toward greater alignment. Even if it feels very uncomfortable right now, eventually you will notice that things are aligning so beautifully. So my friend, this is your time to shine. This is your time to shine. I will leave you here. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting. I hope you've found something valuable in today's message. Let me know in the comment section what you take from it, and maybe how you are coping with these energies right now. What works for you the most, so other people can be inspired by you as well. And thank you for watching. Thanks to everyone for choosing to support my art in our store, AttractPassion.com, where we've just published some new products, some mugs, phone cases, and so much more. Go and check it out. And also thanks to everyone for joining our Patreon community for more exclusive content. My friends, I love you all, and till next time, one love.